Welcome back. You're still watching the world today on Channels Television. Now we shift our attention to Africa. South Africa's Supreme Court of Appeal has postponed indefinitely the appeal brought by convicted MEND leader Henry Oka, pending an amendment of his legal team's argument on the matter brought before the court. In accordance with the leave granted him to appeal by Judge Niels Klassen of the South Gauteng High Court in Johannesburg, Mr. Oka came questioning the jurisdiction of the court to hear and adjudicate counts 1 to 12 of the charges brought against him, as well as the conviction on counts 13 related to engaging in terrorist activities. Our correspondent Betty De Beer, who was in court, reports that the panel of 5 judges led by Justice Nesa pointed out that in all the arguments and presentations of the appellant's legal team, there has been no properly presented constitutional challenge of the relevant Act 33 of 2004, which covers the protection of constitutional democracy against terrorists and related activities. Now, the judge's advice was, we'll take that story later, but now we need to shift our attention to Zimbabwe. According to state media reports, Zimbabwe's Vice President Joyce Mujuru has been barred by the ruling Zanu-PF party from serving on its powerful Central Committee. Those reports indicate that she had failed to win nomination after being linked to a plot to oust President Robert Mugabe. Mrs. Mujuru's fall from grace damages her chances of one day succeeding the 90-year-old. Mrs. Mujuru was a close comrade of Mr. Mugabe, but the two have since fallen out. The First Lady, Grace Mugabe, who has recently entered politics, has led a sustained campaign against Mrs. Mujuru, accusing her of being demonic. Now, even though Mrs. Mujuru's bid to be elected to the Central Committee has been thwarted, Mr. Mugabe still has the power to appoint her to serve on the powerful leadership body. Mr. Mugabe may decide to do this to show her that he remains the boss. Either way, Mrs. Mujuru's political star has waned, while that of her rival, Justice Minister Emerson Mnangagwa, has risen. Still talking news in Africa, Sudan's government has asked the UN Africa Union Force in Darfur, that's UNAMID, to shut its Human Rights Office. The move comes amid tensions over the mission's attempt to investigate allegations of mass rape by Sudanese troops in the Darfuri village of Tabit. The authorities initially refused access to the village. When UNAMID did get there, it found no evidence. Darfur has been in conflict since 2003 when rebels took up arms. UNAMID has a mandate to stem violence against civilians and currently has nearly 16,000 personnel deployed in the troubled western region. The conflict in Darfur is now being waged on many fronts and by different groups involving pro-government forces, rebels, militias, and involving inter-ethnic violence. We'll take another break now in the world today. When we come back, we'll be looking at lighter stories, but here's something about stealing antiques. We'll give you details on that in a moment. Please stay with us. Back to watching the world today on Channels Television. Now, before we get to our lighter stories, the United States has issued a warning to travelers citing specific threats from terrorism aimed at Western and local interests in the eastern African nation of Djibouti. Djibouti hosts U.S. and French military bases and is an ally in the United States-led fight against the Islamic State militants. Somali al-Qaeda-linked militants have previously attacked the country, saying it was to punish the East African state for contributing to an African Union force in Somalia back in May. 2 people were killed in a grenade blasts in the city at a busy restaurant popular with Westerners. Somali's Al-Shabaab Islamist rebel group claimed responsibility for that attack. Now to other stories. Antique materials often fetch a lot of money, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that 8 shoes belonging to Jewish Holocaust victims have been stolen from a former concentration camp in Poland. The theft took place in Majdanek Museum near Lublin between the 18th and the 20th of November. Previous items stolen from the museum include victims' ashes and a cap from a prisoner. More than 78,000 people were sent to the gas chambers at Majdanek, which was built by the Nazis in 1941 and abandoned in 1944. The shoes were reported missing after a museum employee realized that a wire net over a display of 56,000 shoes had been cut. A spokesman from that museum said the exhibit aimed to show visitors the scale of the Nazis' crime. Back in 2013, a Jewish prisoner's hat was stolen from the same museum, but was later recovered by the FBI after the thief tried to sell it online. The ashes of victims from the camp's crematorium were also stolen back in 1989, but were never recovered. Now, it's not the snow-decked fields of the North Pole, but Bangkok is the unlikely host to the largest gathering of Santa's little helpers to date. Almost 1,800 elves aged between 9 and 15 gathered at the shopping mall in the Thai capital to officially set a new world record. According to a representative, the previous record was set in 2013 in Wetherby in the United Kingdom, and while that is a predominantly Buddhist country, the commercial and festive aspect of the Christian holiday is widely exploited, with Christmas lights and trees that's a common sight during the holiday season. Still talking Christmas, as the season approaches, many people are searching for a befitting Christmas tree. Now, if you're one of those people, you might want to visit the Christmas market in the German town of Dortmund. Residents swear that that's where you'll find the biggest Christmas trees in the world.
The tree is 45 meters tall and spots 48,000 lights and illuminated ornaments. The angel topping the Christmas tree is an impressive sight, with its height of 4 meters and 200-pound weight. The revelers are delighted not just by the Christmas market, but especially by its special tree. You can see all the people here. It is touching, isn't it? It is the best at the very beginning. After 3 weeks, it all gets a bit stale. So now is the best time. The Christmas tree stands in Germany's biggest Christmas market with over 300 stalls. It is the only place in Germany where Christmas fans can make their own Christmas coins and send decorative Christmas letters with special stamps and a Christmas market postmark.
'Tis the season to be jolly. That's the world today. Many thanks for watching. I'm Cynthia Ara.